De wereld houdt zijn adem in afwachting van de uitslag van de Amerikaanse presidentsverkiezingen. Vandaag gaan de stembussen open. Wie wordt er? Trump, Biden en wat gaat dat betekenen? Nolen Gertz is Amerikaan en kiest sinds 2000 voor de Democrats. Hij is assistant professor aan de faculteit voor filosofie op de Universiteit Twente en hij woont in Enschede. Daarnaast is hij kritisch en bevlogen twitteraar met meer dan 15.000 volgers en auteur van diverse boeken over technologie en nihilisme. We praten met hem over de verkiezingen, over Amerika en over zijn verwachtingen voor de komende nacht. En dat doen we in het Engels. Ik zal af en toe even een beetje samenvatten wat we gezegd hebben. Ik hoop dat het een beetje goed gaat. Welcome to our studio, Nolen.
Thank you.
Assistant professor. Just to get you know a little bit better. What else besides assistant professor?
What else? Well, I write books. I think my Dutch is good enough to understand that you said some of the titles of my books.
No, I didn't. Sorry.
I've only lived here 5 years, so my Dutch isn't that great. But yeah, I write a lot. I'm raising a son, so he speaks Dutch fluently. He's my tutor. And I used to work in politics in the United States a lot, so it's a little different being here rather than there.
Yeah, so you're a married man with a son, tutor Dutch.
Yeah.
Very good. Hey, and you're a Democrat since 2000. What happened? Why Democrat since 2000?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think, in the United States, we unfortunately only have two parties, so
right.
You kind of have to choose between those. And if you're like me, the Democrats are much closer to your political perspective than the Republican Party. So I wanted to be in politics. I went to university in Washington, D.C. I worked in Congress for a Democrat. I was part of Gore versus Bush. I was there in election night at the AFL-CIO headquarters in D.C. When we thought we had the election and suddenly we were told we did not have the election.
Nolen vertelt dat hij getrouwd is, een zoontje heeft die hem af en toe wat Nederlands leert. 5 jaar in Nederland en sinds 2000 actief voor de Democratische Partij. En ik vroeg hem wat er gebeurd is. Nou, hij is betrokken geweest bij de verkiezingen van Bush destijds. Tegen Bush versus, what was it again?
Gore.
Right, Al Gore. Nou ja, en nu in Nederland. You've been in Holland for 5 years. You already said that. In those 5 years in Holland, do you think anything changed in regards to our sentiments towards the United States? And do you notice anything of that? And if so, what?
Yeah, it's when I first moved here, people would always ask me, why would you come here from the U.S.? Now they say, aren't you so glad you're here rather than the U.S.? So that was a pretty big difference. I think, when Obama was president, it seemed like, of course, you want to be in America. When Trump was president, of course, it seemed like, why the hell would anyone go near America?
Does that mean a lot of discussions about American politics here in Holland? Do you need to defend your country a lot?
No, I am a proud critic of the United States. I think really the only way to be an American abroad is to be proudly critical of the United States. Right. I learned that when I lived in London. But yeah, I think my colleagues at the university, every lunch, almost the first thing they would say is, did you see the last Trump tweet or something like that.
Right. Nolen vertelt dat hij, toen hij 5 jaar geleden hier kwam, was de vraag, waarom kom je in hemelsnaam hier en waarom blijf je niet in de VS? Want dat is toch een land waar je moet zijn. Inmiddels wordt hem de vraag andersom gesteld van, ben je niet blij dat je inmiddels hier in Nederland woont in plaats van in de Verenigde Staten? En het is niet zozeer een verdediging van Amerika de hele tijd, maar hij bestempelt zichzelf als een kritisch volger van de Amerikaanse politiek en de Amerikaanse situatie. Wel regelmatig gesprekken over de laatste tweets van Trump. Could you help us understand a little bit what's going on in America and why is that different from what's happening in the rest of the world, or are the United States just ahead of the rest of us?
Yeah, it's a good question. I would like to understand America as well. We have a very strange system called the Electoral College.
Don't make it too technical.
Yeah. Typically when you think democracy, you think you only need one vote more than 50%.
Right.
America is different.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to win 270 electoral votes, which can be based on what series of states you win. This is why we have red states, blue states, mm-hmm. and swing states. I've always lived in a blue state, so my vote has never mattered, which is why it's always. Always strange to think we're in a democracy when you have large swathes of the country that your vote just doesn't matter. Right. So yeah, I think one of the big discussions in America now is whether to actually make it democratic and go to popular vote. Right. So we'll hopefully make that change.
Right. Het vertelt een beetje de Amerikaanse situatie waarin het niet 50+1 van de meerderheid is, zou je even zeggen. Het democratisch systeem, afhankelijk van het aantal staten dat je wint. Hè, rode staten, blauwe staten en swingstaten. En ik heb altijd in een blauwe staat gewoond, dus eigenlijk zijn stem deed er nooit toe. Er is nu wel een discussie gaande om toch democratie te vertalen naar een model zoals wij dat ook kennen, waarin de meerderheid +1, zal ik maar even zeggen, of de helft +1, de meerderheid vormt en dus het democratische proces op gang helpt. Do you think that what's happening in the US now, I'm thinking about this polarized system, I mean, just in my perception, whether it's about abortion or about, gun policy or anything that's happening is so polarized. Is that really different from the rest of, let's say, Holland, or is it just our perception of how the United States operate?
I think in the United States, again, because we have two parties, it sort of forces into polarization, but also to an extreme. So when I was growing up, the big idea was that everything should be compromised. And then it was when I lived moving to the Netherlands, I discovered that compromise is actually a meaningful word here, which is weird, because in America it usually just means do whatever the Republicans want or they'll kill you. I think when you have guns, when you have corporations, compromise really doesn't mean what it should mean.
Right. So that's a typical United States thing, you would think.
Yeah, no, I think it's very different in the United States because we are so driven by gun culture, because we're so driven by corporate interests, right. That even people who are poor vote against their own interests because they think, well, if I'm rich, then this will serve my interest.
Right. Samenvatting is dat de polarisatie in Amerika, of het nou om wapens gaat of over het grote bedrijfsleven dat allerlei belangen heeft, of de Black Lives Matter discussie, dat is toch wel typisch Amerikaans. En dat heeft een beetje te maken met het twee-statensysteem, waardoor het ook gedreven wordt in een soort van dualisme. Het is of het een of het ander. En toen Nolen in Nederland kwam hij erachter dat het woord compromis echt een inhoud heeft. Dat het ook iets betekent, dat je daadwerkelijk compromissen kunt sluiten. Dus het heeft ook iets met het Amerikaanse systeem te maken. En in zijn visie ook echt typisch Amerikaans. Tonight, or actually, have you already voted?
Yes.
I bet must be for Biden.
Yes.
What if Trump would win his second term?
Right.
So will you go for Dutch citizenship, or what will happen to you?
Well, first of all, it's important. There's no indication that Trump could win. There is a lot of indication that he will try to steal the election. So it seems quite possible that Trump could have a second term without being legally reelected. So this is,
but there are checks and balances, right? Even in America? I mean, you can try to steal, but somebody will catch you.
The three Supreme Court justices that he has put on the bench, Gorsuch, Kavanaugh, and Barrett, were all part of the 2000 Bush v. Gore Supreme Court case. So I don't think it's an accident that he chose three people who were involved in the Supreme Court giving the election to the Republicans in 2000, because clearly he's been very open. That is his plan tonight. If at any time the voting shows that he's up, he's going to go to the courts and say, you need to stop counting now, and every count after this should be thrown out.
But it's possible that he would do that? I mean, it's a legal thing to do?
Or that he will do this.
He will do it?
Yes.
That's not just stealing and cheating, it's corrupting democracy, isn't it?
Yes.
If that would really happen.
Yes.
It's serious.
Yes.
Okay. But you think it's a real scenario?
Yeah, this is his plan. I mean, nothing he has done has been aimed in the last 4 years at winning re-election. Everything instead has been laying the groundwork to steal the election.
Oké. En Nolen vertelt dat als Trump zou winnen, dat was ongeveer mijn vraag, gaat hij dan Nederlandschap aanvragen? Nou, dat is hij niet van plan volgens mij. Maar hij vertelt dat Trump niet zal winnen waarschijnlijk. Tenminste, alle indicaties, het lijkt erop dat dat niet het geval zal zijn. Maar hij gaat wel serieus proberen om de verkiezingen te stelen. Dat heeft hij ook aangekondigd. Hij heeft 3 conservatieve rechters aangesteld die destijds betrokken waren bij de zaak van Bush against Al Gore. Dat is geen toeval. En hij heeft lang en breed aangekondigd dat op het moment dat de stemmen vanavond zijn kant uitwijzen, dat hij het Hooggerechtshof zal gaan vragen om te stoppen, niet meer te tellen. Dan is de winst voor hem. En dat is dus het stelen van de verkiezingen, corrupt systeem, democratie kapot. Maar Nolen zegt dat is een heel reëel en serieus scenario. That's like a death sentence to democracy in the United States, isn't it?
Yes. And that's how it felt in 2000. So it's important that we've done this before. There is precedent for what Trump is doing. It's just never before been so open. So he seems very proud about his plans. And the Republican Party seems fully engaged in supporting it.
Is there anything that could stop him doing that?
It seems the only scenario would be that the people in the local counting, so in different states, that they would just keep counting. So we're hoping that basically, there are enough people on the ground in these swing states like Pennsylvania, who even if the court does tell them you have to stop counting, that they just will keep counting.
But to me, this is like unreal. I think democracy is about voting and counting the votes, and you keep counting until all the votes are counted, right?
Right.
But that's not reality in America.
No, and in every chance the Republicans have had in the last couple of weeks, they've gone to court to fight the right of people to vote.
Is this excuse me, I don't want to offend you, but is this a cynical Democrat talking, or is this?
No, this is
how it works in America.
This is just reading the news. I mean, this just is what they're doing. So they've been going in Texas, they've been going in Wisconsin, they've been going in Pennsylvania, they've been going to the courts and saying that you need to throw out hundreds of thousands of votes.
Right. So you're a philosopher, right?
Yes.
What does this mean for the world as a community?
It means, first of all, people should stop saying the president is leader of the free world. I don't know if anyone outside America says that anyway.
Not anymore, I think.
Yeah, but I think it's very important that America is heralded itself as the sort of bedrock of democracy, the upholder of democracy. But that clearly cannot be the case anymore, if it even was to begin with. And I think instead we're going to see increasing, appeals to the EU, to the UN, to sort of counterbalance what's been happening in the United States. And I think the hope is that the demographics that show the Republican Party becoming increasingly powerless because they're not represented in the electorate, that will keep happening. But it's going to take some time. That's the problem.
Nolen zegt dat de enige manier om dit tijd te keren zou zijn dat mensen die gewoon in de stembureaus aan het stemmen zijn, ook op het moment dat dat bevel van het Hooggerechtshof zou komen van stop met tellen, die gewoon doorgaan met tellen. Dus het is echt een realistisch scenario, wat ik me niet kan voorstellen. Dat is bizar. Maar goed, dat die gewoon toch doorgaan met stemmen. En hij zegt, dat is eigenlijk ook de enige hoop, is dat het electoraat, dat eigenlijk hoofdzakelijk in meerderheid democratisch is, dat uiteindelijk die balans een keertje gaat keren en gaat veranderen. Very curious, even more now, I think, about tonight. What will you do tonight?
Yeah, well, I'm going to give a talk at a conference in France in an hour. Okay. So that's going to hopefully keep me a little distracted. But yeah, I'll be like everyone else, glued to Twitter and watching the news and fearing for the worst and remembering going to bed in 2016 and waking up to horrible news. So I will do that again tonight after probably watching enough horror movies to sort of calm me down. Because even a horror movie is more comic than the news.
Wow, pretty somber scenario you're sketching, really.
I would be happy to be wrong.
Yeah,
so,
right.
Yeah, I lean towards assume the worst.
Well, let's spend the night on our knees praying, right?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, Nolen, for being here. Misschien nog heel even als afsluiting. Nolen vertelde net dat hij vanavond heeft zometeen een lezing in Amerika en hij gaat wat horror movies en andere dingen kijken, want dat is altijd nog grappiger dan de realiteit. In de hoop dat hij wat afleiding heeft en niet morgenochtend wakker wordt zoals in 2016 met het nieuws dat toch Trump opnieuw president van de Verenigde Staten zal zijn. nou, ik denk dat velen dat met hem meehopen. Thank you very much, Nolen.
Thank you.
Ga jij kijken vannacht, Ernst?
Ja, ik ga wel kijken.
Ja, ik heb er al meer op de redactie gehoord.
Ja, dat klopt. Ja. Het is een beetje vreemd waarom we dat zo volgen, maar het is toch fascinerend. En dit is ook weer een bizar verhaal, Ernesto.
Ja.
Een democratie waarin het tellen gestaakt kan worden, omdat dat ten gunste komt van de
Anderen. Heel bijzonder.
Onvoorstelbaar.